Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Verena and I'm super happy that you found your way here today as I want to share with you an amazing story about how I manifested becoming a diplomat. I had this thought sharing this story with you and it came actually really spontaneously yesterday as I was preparing my post for Instagram about my training with Bob Proctor, about manifestation, about how the subconscious mind works. And all of these amazing, incredible things, I was remembering that actually the story, how I became a diplomat, is the most amazing reflection onto how the process of manifestation actually really works. Obviously, back at that time, which was 2007, I think the end of 2007, or beginning of 2008, when I applied, I had no clue about manifestation and I had no clue about the subconscious mind, about anything in that area. But I had a dream. And to come a little bit back, or to go a little bit back, when I was 19, I left Germany to go to Australia for a year to do work and travel. And that was the first time I ever, no, not the first time, but yeah, like the first time leaving Europe. Yeah, I was pretty young. I was 19 and my parents never traveled a lot with us. So it was a big deal for me to go all the way to Australia. And it really changed my life, I have to say. I did it all. There are so many emojis. Wait a moment. I have to spray. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So it was a really big deal for me to go all the way to Australia, and it changed my life. It sparked something within me which I cannot really explain with words. I realized who I really am. I realized that there are so many things outside the world I actually know, and that there are so many possibilities, wonderful people out there, wonderful chances and opportunities, and I wanted exactly this life. This is how I wanted to live. I wanted to explore. I wanted to go out into the world. I wanted to live among different cultures. And everything sort of naturally emerged. I was like a flower popping over there, like opening up and to life actually, because up until then I had a really troubled upbringing. Don't want to go into that now, but it was sort of like a change. I was like, wow, there's so much more. And then I came back to Germany because this was 2004. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like what it is now. You know, you can work online from anywhere in the world. You're a digital nomad, entrepreneur. Back then it wasn't like that, even if it's 20 years ago, you know. So I was like, how can I make this possible to work abroad? So that thought and that desire was awakened within me, you know, bitten by the travel bug. I was like, this is how I want to live. And I remember one moment I had many jobs in Australia, and one was being a waitress. And I remember I worked at Doyle's at Watson's Bay in a very famous fish restaurant. And one day I was serving a big table of people and they were all so joyful. And the one lady who sat in the center, she was like sort of really sparkling. And I was so curious what they celebrate. So as I served the table, I spoke to the lady and I said, so what is the cause of the celebration? And she said, I just got my Australian passport. I applied for getting the Australian nationality citizenship. And she said, it was my dream for such a long time. And I could feel that. And I was like, wow, this is what I want, you know. And back then I thought, obviously it's Australia. So I went back home and I was like, I want to live in Australia. I don't know how. So I researched and I tried many things, and I was like, okay, I need to study. I need to finish my studies first, or at least the A levels. In Germany, the system is a little bit different. So I went back to school, I finished my A levels, and then went to university. I started to study economics, and I was like, this is not what I want to do. So I tried, but I finished, I think, I did 3 semesters, and mostly I was working besides studying. So I was focusing a lot more on working than studying, because I was just not so interested in what we were learning there. And as I had already worked many years, I had a solid background in economics and stuff like that. And so I decided to finish my studies, and I was working for an insurance company, and I was living in Regensburg, which is a beautiful city in Bavaria, with my flatmate. And I remember that one day she came home, so I knew she would go to see her grandmother for her birthday. And when she came back, we sat down in the kitchen, and she started to share about the day. And she said, so my grandmother's stepson, I think it was stepson or step-grandson, was there from Oman. And I was like, from Oman? Or Libya or Oman? Lebanon, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, what is he doing there? I was so excited. I was like, this sounds really interesting. And she's like, he's a diplomat. And I'm like, he's a diplomat? Well, that's pretty cool. And I'm like, how did he become a diplomat? And she's like, I don't actually know. And I remembered back, we already had when I was still at school, this one guy, I forgot his name, Christoph, he asked my teacher, how do I become a diplomat? I want to be a diplomat. And but back in the day, I didn't have any interest in becoming a diplomat. So I didn't listen properly. But I was sparked. I was like, if I am a diplomat, I can live abroad. And so I started to research the same day. And I remember I went to the homepage of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Germany, and I found out that there's a sort of a training, a 2-year training to become a diplomat. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Now, no doubt, I want to be, better to say, I want to be a diplomat. So I made the application ready. You had to send a cover letter off why you would want to do that. And I remember I was so excited, like when you have something, you feel like, and now knowing it was not so much that I wanted to become a diplomat, also it was really nice, but it was my ticket to freedom, my ticket to live in another country, explore and get to know other people, other cultures and traditions. So I made that cover letter ready. I sent it to 2 friends to cross-check it, and then I sent it off. And I was like, I was so excited. And so they had on their homepage, I think, like a list how you could prepare for their test. And I don't know if I did that after I got the invitation to go to the test. I think so. Because I think I had to wait a couple of weeks until I got a letter back that I was invited to come to Munich, to the Goethe Institute, and do a test, a 5 or 6 hours test about mathematics, English, common knowledge, like how to say, don't know all these words in English, how to think properly basically, and about politics and all of these things. So I was like, oh my God, I need to study. So I bought every book, like I bought books about the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, books about diplomacy, books about politics, books about anything you can imagine. And I studied. I studied every day. And in my mind, nothing else existed anymore outside of me being a diplomat. And if you would have known me by the time, all my friends, they knew like I was on a mission. I was a natural force. I was like, I told everybody I'm becoming a diplomat, and I'm so excited because then I will live across the world and I will travel and I will see the world. And it was just exciting. And so I studied, I went to Munich, I did the test, and I remember I met a girl there, Caroline. She was also from Bavaria, and after the test we went for a coffee and we had a chat and we exchanged numbers, and it was a really, really nice interaction with her, and we stayed in touch. And a couple of weeks later, I got a call from her, and she's like, oh my God, I got the letter. I've been invited to go to Berlin for the assessment center. And I'm like, oh, that's so incredible and so happy for you. I haven't received anything. Maybe I didn't make it. So I was a little bit like disappointed, only to find out the next day or the next 2 days that I had a cover letter or a letter from the ministry in my postbox as well. So I was invited to on a different date than Caroline, but I went up there. So I flew to Berlin, and it was so exciting, you know. It wasn't a full day. It was pretty crazy. So I had, and I think it was 8 people in front of me. I sat on a small chair on a table, like an interview with, I think it was 8 people, like a gremium. And I felt so small, you know, when you sit like on a small table, and there's like a full row of people all watching you and asking you about politics and all of this stuff, news, politics, history of politics. And I was like sitting there and like answering all the questions. I had studied, you know, like I had studied so much, but still I was so nervous. And then the second part was speaking to a psychologist. I think in half an hour or 45 minutes, she was assessing if you're mentally strong and healthy. And then we had a group discussion or a group task we would need to solve, and a group interview or a group play, something like that, where it was obviously about, they could see how we are acting in a team, how we present ourselves, how we are able to communicate, and all of these things. And this whole thing went on from 8 until 5 o'clock in the evening. And I remember I flew home at night, and it felt so, I don't know how to explain this. You know, when you fly up to Berlin, I was the beginning of my 20s. I flew up to Berlin to go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you know, in their beautiful, like, the assessment center was held in the area we would live, which was right by a lake. It was all separated. There was a security, like it was like super incredible, you know. You felt like, I don't know, it felt really, really amazing, to be honest. So I flew home and spoke to Caroline, and we were like both so excited about what's to happen next, you know, if we made it, and because there were over 1,000 applications for 30 positions. So I think 1,400 or something for 30 positions. So it was like, ooh, what's going to happen? And then a couple of weeks later, again, I got another letter to come back to Berlin again to the headquarters for a medicinal assessment. So where they would test my body. And if I'm healthy, and if I can go into the service, because, you know, you go to different countries, third world countries and stuff like that, where living is quite differently than in Germany. But I made it through, and I went again back to Regensburg working, and my 2 closest work and friends at that time, they knew about me applying for becoming a diplomat. And I remember, like, Susanne sat right opposite of me, and the telephone rang. I think it was in January. And so I answered with, you know, our work, work welcoming formula. And then the lady from the ministry was on the phone. She's like, "Hello, Verena." And I'm like, "Hello." She's like, "We just wanted to inform you, you got the job. We decided for you. We're so excited about you coming to Berlin." And can you imagine? I was so excited. I hang up. I was so overwhelmed. I couldn't believe I was just hanging up the phone. And my friend looked at me, Susanne looked at me, and she's like, "Verena, was that the ministry?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "I got the job." And she's like, "Oh, that's amazing." She's like, "But you hang up." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So yeah, I hang up. And I went over to Steffi and I told her, like, they were so happy for me. And I ran downstairs. I called her again from my mobile phone, and I said, like, "Oh my God, I can't believe, I'm so sorry that I hang up. But I was so like over the moon." And she's like, "So you accept?" And I'm like, "Of course I accept." And that's when I went and moved to Berlin to become a diplomat in 2009. And yeah, and that's the story. And what I want to outline is I had a spark set in 2004 or 5 that I wanted to live abroad. I wanted to make it work, to work and travel and see the world. 4 years later, this possibility made itself present to me, and I knew this is it. So I got sparked. A desire came up inside of me, which was so strong that I would have made anything possible. But in between the stage of me knowing what I want to do, being like laser focused, you need to be laser focused. I needed to obviously take the steps towards it. I needed to apply for the job. I needed to prepare for the job. I needed to go to the interviews, which I did. I studied. I told people about what I want to do, which you don't have to do, but I was excited, and it always brought that excitement up within me, and then I could feel that it is possible for me. I knew it is possible for me. Like a part of me knew it, and I saw myself as a diplomat. I saw myself fancy with all the nice suits. I saw myself internationally with ambassadors, with governors and whatever. I saw myself there. I had no doubt. I knew I was amazing. I knew I was like having what it needs to be a diplomat. I knew that. I knew I'm good with people. I knew I'm very diplomatic. I knew I'm very open. People feel welcoming around me. People feel like I'm easily approached if I want to. And I knew whatever else I'm missing at that moment, I make it possible. I will study, I will learn, and this is what you need to do. So you need to know where you're going. So this is actually Bob's process and manifestation. What do you really want? Become a diplomat. Do you have what it takes? No, not yet, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And I did whatever it took to take me there. And the thing was, I could already feel it. I felt it in every cell of my body. I was a diplomat. And then it was only a matter of time until it manifested in my physical reality, because I already was a diplomat. And the process of manifestation has several stages. And the first one is you birth your idea as a thought, and then you impress it onto your subconscious mind, and then the manifestation starts. You will attract whatever you need into your life to manifest, to bring it into a different stage, because it's already there. The thought process is the first stage of manifestation, and in its form is not yet materialized into 3D, into physical, so the thing you can touch it, but it's already there. And then you need to feel it, be it, embody it, and act onto it. And inspired action which is in alignment. Oh, great. They're taking my rubbish. And now my dog is. Thoughts which are in alignment. Wait a moment. I'm back. So this is actually really how the process of manifestation works. Lily's like, yes. What do you really want? Become so clear with what you really want, and then make a plan, make small steps, even if you don't know how to get there, see yourself already there. Take time every day where you feel into your vision, feel into your goal. How would I feel? Now they're all there. And what would that version of me do? So that version of me was working the first version of me who had the desire was working in an insurance company, sitting in a shared flat in the city of Regensburg. My future version was living in a beautiful apartment, wearing fancy clothes, working internationally with diplomats. I saw myself in embassies. I saw myself everywhere across the globe. I saw myself traveling fancy, I saw myself talking to people about what I do, and I was that. I was that already. So my body had to just catch up. But one stage of me, one part of me was already living out that future version of me. So this is how it works. You need to define the future version of yourself. How is this person? How does she talk? What does she wear? What does she do? Who does she surround herself with? And then embody it already. But in the current moment, don't reject your current reality. This is not how it works, but do things you can already do where you're at right now. So for example, I already read these books about diplomacy. I watched the news. I did everything I could to research if they had a new article on the homepage of the ministry. I did Google about diplomats. I did everything I could. I imagined myself traveling, all of these things. And they excited me. They fired me up. They brought me into movement. And they made me every day more and more sure about the fact that I was a diplomat. And that that my body had to just catch up with it, that my physical reality had to just catch up with what was already present, what was already existent inside this world I had created. So what I want to say with that is everything is possible. If I can manifest me from a small village in Bavaria, never had watched the news before, sort of. Not like, like my parents weren't discussing political facts with us at the table, or like things like that were not in my family. And we didn't even travel a lot, maybe to Italy or to Austria, but not further. And still, this girl who grew up completely different had a vision, had a dream. And now I'm living in the tropics, and I made even more dreams of me possible because I knew I can. And I knew I had to follow my heart no matter what, against all odds, against what everybody thinks of me, against what is possible, or what people think is possible, or what even I thought is possible in the past. I made everything possible. And I have even more dreams, which I know I will make possible, because I know that I made already so many things possible for me up until now. So I want to encourage you, if you have a dream, if you have a vision, you are obliged, I want to say, to follow it and to know that it is possible. If you have a desire within your heart, a dream, a goal, a vision, it is possible. And I want to encourage you to follow it, or get everything you need to support you in following it, making your dreams come true, because this is possible for everyone. And I say for everyone, and I'm convinced it is possible for everyone, because I know from myself, and I met so many people along the way which had even worse starting ground than I had, and they made the impossible possible. So don't you ever give up. If you need help, let me know. I'm a coach and trainer for people who want to live their purpose and want to live an inspired life, an abundant life. And I also have a money masterclass coming up, which is this Sunday. So I don't know whenever you watch this video. So it's this Sunday, the 15th of December, 2024. Maybe you watch this video a lot later. But for the ones who watch it now, please come along. It's for free. It's my gift to you. I will share even more of the process of how to manifest. You can ask any question you have, which is great. I will share all of my wisdom, all of my knowledge, which I gained over the years. I studied intensely. I studied Bob Proctor. I studied Napoleon Hill. I want to say really, how's again the word profi? I don't know the word in English. Somebody who knows the matter. And I want to help you to create the life you dream of. Because, as I said, what if everything is possible? What if? You always ask to open the room. What if everything is possible for you too? And with this, I want to close it up. I want to wish you a beautiful day with lots of magic and miracles. And I see you on Sunday. And with that, with that, I say goodbye now. Have a beautiful day. Mwah. See you soon.